Hey guys, how's it going? This is Watch from the MW Technology channel on YouTube, and in this video we're doing a direct comparison between the second generation Nexus 7 and the original Nexus 7. Now this video is primarily geared towards people interested in perhaps upgrading to the new Nexus 7, or whether they want to just see whether there's a real difference between the new Nexus 7 and its previous version. Now, as usual, the first thing that we're going to take a look at when comparing the second generation Nexus 7 to the original Nexus 7 is the overall differences in terms of physical dimensions. Now, the original Nexus 7 had a height of about 198.5 millimeters, a width of 120 millimeters, and if we compare that against the new version of the Nexus 7, which has a width of about 114 millimeters and a height of about 200 millimeters. So overall, it looks like the new Nexus 7 just went to the gym for a couple of weeks and it got more taller and skinnier, but just by a small margin. Additionally, it seems like the Nexus 7 diet has also paid off because the new Nexus 7 weighs actually 50 grams less than the original. The new Nexus 7 weighs just under 290 grams. And you can certainly feel that weight difference when you're holding both devices in your hand or when you're switching back and forth between the two devices. You'll find that the new Nexus 7 definitely feels a lot lighter. So for anyone who uses their tablets on a long-term session, whether they're reading ebooks or graphic novels or magazines, it's definitely find the new Nexus 7 a little bit more comfortable because of that weight difference. And you're definitely going to notice that after about 2 hours of usage. Additionally, you're also going to notice that the new Nexus 7 is also thinner than the original. The first generation Nexus 7 measured about 10.5 millimeters versus the new Nexus 7 measures about 8.7 millimeters. Now the new design of the second generation Nexus 7 definitely borrows a lot of the design cues of the original Nexus. In many cases, the physical differences between the devices are quite subtle, with the added exception that the new Nexus 7 is just a little bit more sleeker and doesn't have the dark gray bezel that can be found in the original. Now, furthermore, in terms of build quality, I do have to say that both devices are pretty much on par with each other. They're both made out of really similar materials, high quality plastics and rubbers. There's no addition of metal at this point, so for anyone looking to get a really high quality built 7-inch tablet, besides the iPad mini, there's not too many options out there, but I wouldn't suggest calling these two devices poorly built at all. They're built solidly and should last a fair amount of time. Now, although these two devices are fairly similar in terms of physical attributes, you'll start noticing some of the major differences when we start comparing on what comes inside these two devices. Now, starting with the screen, you'll notice that the second generation Nexus 7 still has the exact same physical dimension in terms of 7-inch screen, but you'll notice a huge difference in terms of resolution. The original Nexus 7 came with a 1280 by 720p display, but now Asus and Google have upped the resolution to 1920 by 1200, which is in fact a little bit beyond the full 1080p displays that you'll find on other tablets. Now, as a result of updating to that huge resolution, we've now gained a lot of more pixels per inch. The new Nexus 7 has a PPI rating about 323 versus the original Nexus 7, which has a 216 PPI rating. Now, in reality, when we take a look at these two displays, you'll immediately notice that increase in resolution definitely comes through when you're actually looking at both of the screens. You'll notice on the new Nexus 7 you can see finer details in text and images. You can now experience full high definition media, whether it be films or video clips on YouTube, because now you actually have a screen that is capable of displaying that content. In addition to the benefits of the resolution, you'll also notice that the color and luminosity of the screen has also been improved from the original Nexus 7, where images look a lot brighter than you'll find on the original Nexus 7, and overall the experience is definitely a lot better when you're looking at the screen. Now, in terms of the internal specifications of both these two devices, the original Nexus 7 actually came with a Tegra 3 quad-core processor clocked in about 1.2 GHz with 1 GB of RAM. Now, the second generation Nexus 7 has a Snapdragon S4 Pro chip, which is also a quad-core, clocked in about 1.5 gigahertz, but we've now added another gig of RAM, making it 2 gigs of RAM. Now, when you take a look at these two devices and start comparing the screen response time and the overall fluidity of the OS in relation to the hardware, you'll notice straight off the bat that the new Nexus 7 is a lot more responsive in terms of your command. The touchscreen is also improved quite a bit, and everything feels a lot more fluid, and it just feels just a little bit quicker than the original Nexus 7 when you're loading up different applications, websites, etc. So now let's go ahead and test out the performance differences of these two devices by just doing a couple of benchmarks. So the first thing that we'll do is take a look at Geekbench. Now, according to the Geekbench score, the second generation Nexus 7 has a pretty big lead on the original. It got a score of about 2,634 versus 1,443 on the original Nexus 7. Now, the second benchmark that we're going to do is a little bit more graphically intensive. We're going to do the quadrant stand benchmark, and we're going to start both these two devices at the same time, and you'll notice the original is quite a bit behind the new second generation Nexus, and when we speed things up over here, you'll notice that it's about almost 4 to 5 seconds behind, and the frames per second overall on the new Nexus is definitely looks a lot more fluid. Now here we're done the benchmark, and you'll notice that the new Nexus 7 actually got charted right at the top of their charted device. Now obviously this isn't all devices out there, this is a limited amount of devices, but it's at the top right now. And the original Nexus 7 is about 3 charts down, so you can see a little bit of a visual difference from where these two devices are at. But bottom line is the new Nexus 7 definitely has improved hardware that translates into real world differences. Now, another important update on the new Nexus 7 is the addition of supporting dual Wi-Fi signals such as 5 GHz and 2.5 GHz, as well as supporting 802.11 AC, which is going to be the next standard in Wi-Fi technology. Furthermore, the new Nexus 7 has also added a rear-facing camera as well as the front-facing camera that you saw in the original Nexus. Now, the rear-facing camera can do 5 megapixel stills and shoot 1080p video. Now we're going to take a look at the batteries of these two devices as our final comparison. You'll notice that the new Nexus 7 actually has a smaller battery. It has a 3,950 milliamp hour battery, which is certainly smaller than the 4,325 milliamp hour battery that's in the original Nexus. As you all probably know, that there's a lot of variability in terms of battery life, and it all depends on how you use the device. But in most instances, if you use these devices on a similar kind of basis, you're going to get about the same performance. Now, even though we've gone over many of the aspects of why the new Nexus 7 definitely improves upon the original design and the internal specifications certainly live up to their expectations, but there are some things that I wish Google and Asus implemented into the new Nexus 7. The biggest improvement that they miss is the option to have a user replaceable battery and expandable memory. Now, many people do say that the reason why we don't find these options is because people just don't use expandable memory and they never really replace their battery. But for a person like me who uses a lot of micro SD cards to move data back and forth between different devices and computers, and for anyone who takes long trips and needs their device charged and ready to go at all times, it's always nice to have multiple batteries. So even if you're away from the main power for a long time, you're always taken care of in terms of battery. So it's just a nice option to have, and it would definitely make this tablet a lot more desirable for some of those people that want that kind of feature. But other than that, guys, that's really it. If you have any questions or concerns about anything I talked about in this video, please make sure to leave it on a comment down below, and let us know if you guys think that the new Nexus 7 is worth updating to if you have a current version or if you're in the market for a 7-inch mobile tablet. I think it's a really great deal right now for $229 in the US and about $250 Canada, and definitely really competitive. We are going to be comparing against the iPad mini, so stay tuned for that video. But if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, Majid Sayed 2. But other than that, we'll see you later. Take care.
1 meter distance away from the controller, and it captures all 10 fingers and your movement.